Hey guys, it's Painted Dressage. I haven't made a video in a really long time, so I'm excited to do this. I've been wanting to do a Q&A for a while. I posted basically a video on TikTok asking for you guys to comment below any questions that you might have. Some of the parts are going to be thrown up on TikTok, so you guys will get to see, me responding to your questions. And then also, if you guys could check out my YouTube channel and subscribe, it would be great because I'm trying to kind of kickstart this whole page back up. So if you guys could support that, that would really be awesome. So here we go. So first question, I put this first because I think it's the most important. Why are there no Bojangles in Florida? There are. They are very few and far between. There was one in Gainesville. I actually lived right next to a Bojangles when I was up at UF. But otherwise, and I've actually at a couple horse shows they've catered Bojangles, so I was really happy. I think I have a picture. I'll insert it. I think it's funny. So yeah. Me and Mikey asks, how many horses have you had? What has been your best test score? What was your first dressage test like? What level? So I have had 2 horses total, Watson and then Mr. B. Mr. B's kind of like retired at my trainer's farm. We have like a retirement agreement, so she uses him for lessons and stuff, and in return, like, she's gonna retire him at her farm. So that's really nice. My best test score, I think, has been like a 74.9 something. It was right under a 75. It was at 3rd level in the freestyle, and that was actually with Watson, so it's cool that he has, the highest score that I've had so far. What was your first dressage test like? I'm pretty sure Watson trotted out the side of the arena. It was intro A. I remember I came out, so upset because he used to try and jump out of the arena, and he had trotted and he, tripped over the edge, and I think it was a schooling show, so the judge was nice. I was, 11 years old. They didn't ring me out. I just kind of went back in and did my thing. So that's how that went. Next question. Slow Mo Rider Official asks, apples or carrots for your horse? Watson likes both. I usually don't feed apples as much just because there is that chance that, they could choke if you don't, cut them up just because they're bigger. And Watson will, if you give him an apple, he will eat the entire thing and swallow it. So I try to avoid that sometimes unless it's, pre-cut. But I like both as long as, they're given safely. Yeah, we have a lot of questions from this person. If you could, what would you change about Watson? If anything, he's honestly perfect in my opinion. But if there's one thing I could change, it's, maybe that he's a little less nervous of a horse, because I do feel bad. He tries really hard, and he gets kind of, he's not spooky, but he gets very wigged out sometimes. He takes things personally. If something happens, he gets very upset by it, and then he just gets really anxious. So I would, obviously, that's always been a goal, and he's gotten a lot better. We used to run backwards on center line, so we've made a lot of progress. What has been your favorite memory with Watson? There's been so many. People ask this question a lot, and I don't know if I have, one specific memory that was, the best, because there's so many different aspects to our, the past 10 years together. Our PR, the record that I was talking about earlier at 3rd level, that obviously was a really cool memory. We placed 3rd back at regionals a couple years ago against a lot of horses, and that was a really big memory for me. We got our PR, and it was my highest score ever at Pre-St. George, higher than even with, my average at Pre-St. George with Watson is higher than Mr. B. And for me, that means a lot to me. And then just at home, the little moments, the first Piaffe steps, the first time I got, a flip-flop doing, training the 1 tempies. There's so much that has happened that have been, little, I guess, victory moments. So what would your dream horse, height, breed, color, etc.? So usually I'm a stickler for, I don't really care that much about what the breed is as long as it's a good horse. But I do love, the Spanish horses. I love Lusitanos, so, a buckskin Lusitano would probably be my favorite. And nothing over 16 hands. I'm only 5 feet tall, and Watson's actually, this is funny, not a lot of people realize Watson's only 14.2 and a half, so he's borderline a pony, and people think he's 16.2, and that's not the case. He's basically a pony. I'm just really short, and I can't, B was 16.1, and, in videos people are like, your horse is huge. No, he's not. He's 16.1. So yeah, dream horse would have to be under 16 hands. What was your scariest fall with Watson? I'd say the scariest, I did have to go to the ER. He spooked. I think I've made a couple of, like, jokes about it on my TikTok. He spooked at a lawnmower, and he kind of did, like, some little buck thing. And I wasn't a very good rider, so it's not like, you know, now I could have sat it, but back then I was pretty new. But he kind of, like, cantered off, and he, like, did, like, a buck crow hop thing, and I went, like, just front flip over his head and landed, like, on my shoulder and then rolled onto my back. And I just remember, like, sitting on the floor staring up, and we've all been through this if you've come off, when you get, like, the wind knocked out of you and you're just like, ugh. And I remember my sister came over laughing at me, and I was so upset because my arm hurt, and, you know, and then I actually didn't go to the ER for a couple of days because I thought I was okay. And then my arm, like, I remember sitting in class, and I was, like, writing with a pencil, and it just hurt, like, in the upper part, because I was scared that I had because my friend had actually just had a fall, and she had broken a small bone, like, up in her upper arm, so I ended up going to get that checked out. It ended up being fine. It was just bruised up really badly, so I had to wear, like, a sling, so that was, I don't know. Do you plan on getting any more horses in the near future? So, not in the near future, maybe in, like, 5 years. Right now, I'm kind of, like, in a place where I'm saving up to get my own place. So my living, you know, kind of comes first. I have to have a roof over my head before I can get more horses. And then just saving money, and the hope for the future is that I can have my own property, so that I can bring in horses and, you know, do that kind of thing. And then hopefully have Watson with me if he's still around, so. Oh, and then more from this person. Can Watson do any tricks? Yeah. So the thing with Watson is when you teach him a trick, he thinks every time you have a treat in your hand, he wants you to do a trick. So his things, like, it's funny, when people walk by when he's on the cross ties, he knows how to smile, so he'll just sit there and, like, do the lip, and people laugh, because it is funny. He looks silly doing that. And then he also knows how to bow, so he'll, like, if you're not actually asking him, but he sees you with a treat, he'll just kind of, like, lift his leg and, like, hold it in the air, and he thinks he gets a treat for it. I mean, if you count, like, the stuff I teach him in dressage work, I guess that's kind of tricks. We do some tackless work, too. So, yeah, I don't know what you consider a trick, but that's really it. How did you get Watson? So I found him in an ad on HorseClicks. He had just been picked up about a month and a half, 2 months prior at an auction. He was bought for meat price. So basically how that works, for people that don't know, horses who go to auction, you know, the upper scale auctions are usually okay, but, like, the lower end ones where he was found at, a lot of kill buyers go to, and they end up going and bidding. They actually bid anywhere upwards of, like, $1,000 on horses, to bring back to the kill pens to then send to Mexico or Canada, because we don't have slaughter in the US. So that's, like, kind of how they make money, like, the kill pens. So, this is just an FYI. If you want to rescue a horse, don't go through the kill pens, go to the auctions, because what the kill pens do, they go in and they buy a horse for, like, anywhere, you know, $100 to $800, and then they'll go and put it on their kill pen website, and they'll sell it for, you know, $1,100, $1,200. So they're making profit out of also sending horses to slaughter, which just is not cool. So I'm very into that. I'm very passionate about that topic, if you can't tell. And then Watson's favorite treat, he likes everything. He likes sugar cubes, he likes beer, he likes Guinness. We learned that he does not like the, I don't know, I forgot, there was, like, some extra version that he did not like. Someone just rang the doorbell. You can go, I'll stop the video for now. Alright, I am back. So, do you do eventing shows or just dressage? If so, would you do novice on Watson? So, I have evented a little bit in the past. It was mainly on a friend's horse, and I have done one eventing show. It was just a little schooling show with Watson. We did beginner novice. I mean, I had my friends trying to get me to sign up for the novice, but I'm personally a baby, and I don't know, on Stewie, it was different because he was 17-3 hands, so, like, the novice jumps didn't seem that big, but on Watson, he's only, like, 14-2.5, like I said, so those jumps just, I don't know, I'm a baby, it makes me nervous, and also we never pursued it enough to, like, give him the training that he needed to be able to do the bigger jumps consistently. It's definitely fun, though. I would definitely keep doing it, but Watson is getting older, so I don't really know if I would do a lot more with him if we did have the opportunity to do more eventing. Do you prefer no stirrups or bareback? I mean, I guess they're both kind of the same thing. With no stirrups, it's nice because, like, I don't know, you at least have the saddle to kind of help, I guess, grip you in. I don't know, but I actually like riding bareback in general because I feel like I can feel him so much more with my seat, and I actually feel a lot more effective bareback. I do feel effective without stirrups, though. Like, I almost wish that, like, you were allowed to compete without stirrups because I feel like once you're, and I've heard a lot of people say this too, once you can ride pretty confidently without stirrups, you know, in dressage, it's so much easier to be able to aid for stuff because you have a closer contact with the horse. And that's also just my opinion too, but I've noticed that my riding, I feel like I'm able to get better work, especially in the collected work when I can have a little bit more mobility with my legs. So I don't really know if I even answered your question, but like, I don't know, I like both. I think they both have, you know, they can both be, well, I don't know about no stirrups being fun, but I don't know, they have their place. What was your biggest challenge to get through on your riding career? So this is going to get a little personal, but I have a hard time balancing my own stress. And one of the biggest things for me, and that's, like, if you've followed me for a while, both on Instagram and TikTok, mainly just Watson's story, and even with B, I have trouble maintaining, like, school and work and riding. And, you know, being in college full-time and work and riding, it's just, I also have a really hard time keeping my, like, stress and anxiety under control. So a lot of these things, and, you know, if I were just casually riding, which is what I'm kind of doing now for that reason, Watson's still going great. It's, if anything, it is me who is temporarily retiring from the dressage ring, just because to be in a full training program while in college full-time and starting graduate school and working, it's a lot of baskets, and I don't have enough eggs to put in all the different baskets, if that makes sense. Like, there's such significant things going on in my life, and I just don't have enough time or, I guess, mental capacity to put all of my eggs into those different baskets and at the end of the day not be like a stressed out mess. So I'm kind of taking a step back right now and doing a lot more like casual riding and just pleasure and enjoying and, you know, playing around with different disciplines. I got a Western saddle, and, you know, once things start to come together a little bit better in terms of like my work schedule, my school schedule, who knows, maybe I'll start playing around with stuff again. I probably won't be getting another horse for another couple of years. But yeah, it's just, it is tough to manage all of those things for sure. And the people who can do it, a lot of people give up riding when they get to college for a couple of years. Just riding in general, that doesn't even, you know, take into consideration like being in a training program. And, you know, my first 2 years, because I did early college, I was riding Watson and B, and I was training full-time with both of them and going to clinics and, you know, going to shows, and it was just a lot. And then, you know, by my last couple of years of school, I was really thankful that this summer I had the opportunity to compete Watson 2 more times at Pre-St. George and get really good scores and, you know, qualify for regionals. But, like, regionals I ended up not going to because with school, I was taking upper division classes. I was graduating this fall. I was on a research team. I'm doing, you know, 2 different labs. I have, you know, work. I'm starting with a new job in Tampa, and now I'm trying to figure out to get Watson to Tampa. And it's been a lot. So, I don't know. This turned into its own separate discussion, but stress is the biggest challenge, if that answers correctly. What about Watson made you choose him over all the other horses? So, it's very surface level. I thought he was pretty. That's really it. He had no training. He couldn't pick up his right lead for over a year, even with, like, professionals on him. He was pretty. That was really it. And he was sweet. He was really sweet. But even riding, he was kind of, like, an a-hole. So, like, because he's, anyone who has ridden him knows he's beginner friendly in the sense that he will take care of you. He will not buck you off. He will not take off. He won't do anything nasty. Now, he used to, but not anymore. But, with beginners, his thing is he will, like, go up into a corner and refuse to move, or he'll, like, kind of just spin in circles. Or he'll even jump out of the arena. He'll trot right out. He'll trot back to the barn. He'll go do his own thing. So, I mean, I remember I was really frustrated for like the first year I owned him because he had a naughty streak. So yeah, I mean, it was mainly that he was pretty and he was nice to me and let me cuddle him on the ground. That sounds so bad, but it worked out. It worked out. How long have you been riding for? I've been riding for, it'll be 10 years in January. If you could change one thing about Watson, what would it be? I think I answered this already. His nervousness, that's really it. He's otherwise a really good boy at this point, but he just can get a little nervous sometimes. If you're jumping, how high? I don't know what that's supposed to mean. But I've jumped up to like 3'9". That was like 2 years ago, and I think Watson's jumped up around the 3 foot mark. Maybe 3'3", if we get crazy, like one time. Are there any moves that Watson found particularly difficult to master? So, Watson, I'm trying to think, he had trouble, and still does have trouble sometimes with the changes. He gets very lateral in them, he kind of gets swingy, so his tendency also is to kind of suck back, and he has trouble moving out and moving forward, so like, to get the changes straighter, he needs to be forward. But the problem, it's a bit of a catch-22, because when he gets a little too forward, this goes back on how I was talking about how he gets nervous. He gets really nervous. So he gets on this diagonal, and then, you know, on the wall, he's decently okay with it. But, you know, you put him on the diagonal, and he just kind of, like, gets, like, all amped up. And then, you know, he might start swinging, and then when he swings, he, like, you know, even if I half halt and try and correct him a little bit, he gets very worked up. So we've had to work really hard on even just doing, like, making the work casual, you know, coming to the diagonal, ask for one change, and then if he gives it quietly, then good, we canter off, and maybe, you know, if he feels good, I might ask for another change. It doesn't matter how many strides apart, but just that it's on the aids and it's quiet and calm. So that was probably one of the hardest things to teach Watson. What's your favorite saddle pad brand? I love PS of Sweden. They're always my favorite. I only have one, but they're gorgeous, and I love like vicariously living through people who match their horse with like their the saddle pad and the wraps and stuff. Their pads are gorgeous, and I can, you know, I have no affiliation with them like at all, but like I can vouch that it lasts forever. Like I've put mine through the ringer. I used to ride in it every day, and it still looks almost brand new. Like they're great saddle pads, and they have pretty good cushioning, and they're pretty breathable too. So I think I love them, and they're pretty. So. Have you ever owned, leased, / worked with any horse other than Watson? Yeah. So I've owned another horse named Mr. B. You can find him on my TikTok and Instagram profiles. And also on my YouTube, I have video compilations showing with him. And then I have worked with a couple of friends' horses. On my TikTok, I think I posted the video of the barrel racer. I posted a video of it was funny, it's actually my 8th grade science teacher. It was her horse named Stewie, the big pinto that I used to event with. And then I actually, when I was younger, I worked with a 4-H horse. And she was really cool. She was a little off-the-track thoroughbred, and I was teaching her dressage and stuff. She unfortunately passed away from colic, though, a couple years ago. And then I did lease one horse temporarily. His name was Tigray, and he actually unfortunately passed away also. But Watson was having some back problems, and it was before I owned Mr. B. So I leased him over the summer and rode him a couple days a week, and he was really cool. Alright, why did you rescue your paint instead of buying a horse? Not trying to be rude, just wondering why you choose one route over the other. So, I didn't know Watson was a rescue when I got him. I actually didn't know until, you know, I was asking his owner, the lady that did rescue him. I messaged her a couple years later, and she told me that she had, because I wanted to know, like, if maybe I could find his papers or figure out, like, if he came from a breeder or something, because I think I had started doing dressage and I wanted to register him. And he's unpapered. He was a grade paint. And, but she told me the auction he came from and stuff, and how much she got him for. And I was just like, wow. And it is cool because I look up to her a lot. She actually brought other paints home. She would go to the same auction and she would rescue a bunch of paints, and kind of give them good homes and give them a second shot at life. So I think that's awesome, and I would love to be able to do something similar in the future. But overall, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it unless you have trainer oversight. I did not. I could have gotten a lot more hurt. It could have been a more dangerous situation. So, as with anything, it's always good to have trainer oversight. If you want to rescue, that's obviously amazing, and Watson's proof. There are great horses out there that have a lot of potential, but just make sure that you have professional oversight, because I don't want to be like, oh, get a rescue, and then someone get hurt or something, because they're trying to have some magical bond with a rescue. Unfortunately, some horses end up at auctions by default, but a lot of others end up at auction for a reason, whether it be behavioral issues, medical issues. So it's always important to go in with a professional when trying to rescue a horse, especially at the front line, at the auctions, at kill pens and whatnot. If you could not do dressage, what would you do? I would probably do reining. I think it's really cool. My TikTok For You page is actually mainly Western and reining and stuff. I love it. I think it's really cool. I think that there's actually a lot reflected similarly in dressage and reining, just from what I have seen. A lot of the principles follow a similar route, despite the disciplines kind of, obviously being in different disciplines. But I do think it's really cool. I think it's fun to watch. I love how it seems to be more open and more accepting than the dressage world a little bit, in terms of there are bridleless classes, there are costume classes, there's just more, at the competition level, that's not looked down upon, I guess. And again, I've never done it, so I don't know, I could be lying, I don't know, but there's just from an outside perspective, it looks a lot more accepting and a lot more chill. So it's something I think would be really cool. And everyone that I've talked to, just over TikTok and stuff, they all seem really nice. I don't know, again, I could be wrong, but I just think it seems like a cool discipline. So, how old is Watson? Watson is about 18. When I got him, he was supposed to be 7. The vet then put him at about 13 when he checked his teeth, and then last year another vet checked him and put him back at 18. Watson was supposed to be 22, 23, and then the vet put him back at 18 again. So then he got put at 17, and then he turned 18 on his fake birthday this year. So, yeah, we don't really know. He's just kind of plodding along, and he's doing great however old he is. He's kicking butt, and he doesn't seem, his age at all, whatever it is. Why did you want to start riding, and how has it affected your plans for the future? Well, my future now is that all my money's going to be going towards horses. So I started riding because, I don't know, I watched, horse movies as a kid, and I was in love with horses when I was really little. My parents didn't really let me ride, though, and take lessons until I was 11, so I was a bit of a late bloomer. But regardless, I obviously fell in love with it and continued, and we got Watson, and that's, it all spiraled from there. But it definitely affected my plans for the future, because now I have to get a job that can afford horses, and, now that I'm, getting older, I have to, look at, think about the future and be like, well, if I live here, I'm this far from the barn, or, I do want to get property at some point, so, taking into consideration, okay, I need to save up, I need to look in these areas, all that kind of stuff. So, just a little bit of, planning, so that I can continue doing what I love. And also, I do want to be able to implement, I've kind of mentioned it, but I do want to be able to bring in auction horses and do kind of, flips on them, and give them a second shot at life. Kind of similar to Watson. So that would be ultimately my dream goal, to kind of have as a little side career, to do a rescue and retrain flip situation. When did you get Watson, and when did you start dressage? I got Watson on April 1st, 2011. And yeah, so it'll be 10 years in April. I started dressage probably late 2011. I think it was late 2011, maybe early 2012. So yeah, we've been kind of in the groove of it for about, 8, 9 years. I've been with my current trainer for about 7 or 8 years. So it's been cool. It's been a fun little journey. How long have you had Watson, and how old were you when you started riding? Also, how old were you when you got your first horse? So Watson is my first horse. I've had him since I was 11. I was 11 when I got him. I was 11 when I started riding. Yeah. Okay, so I think that's all the questions. Let me make sure I have them all pulled up on my computer. yeah, those are all the questions. So thank you so much for watching. Hopefully I can get this up in the next couple of days, and I'll be posting some of the parts on TikTok. So thank you so much for watching, and if you want to subscribe, I would really appreciate that. Like I said, I'm trying to get my YouTube kicked up a bit more, so any support would be awesome. I do this on the side of my work and my school, so just knowing that I have that support is really important for me, just so I can kind of gauge how much you want to see and whatnot. So anything that you guys want to see, please put in the comments. Let me know what you think about this video. And yeah, thank you so much for watching.